Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with MAGFAST, closing out the night with Mega Man Battle Network 3 with Risch on stage. I want to make a couple quick announcements. We got some donations while we were waiting. Meta Roller with $25. Speed Charity, let's go! Robo Rob Music also donated $20. He says he wishes he could be here with y'all all. Be safe. I love you, and break some PBs. And then Phantom Matt also donated $25. Here's to absolutely no whiffled bear swords and no captures by claws. With that being said, thank you guys so much for those donations. Exclamation donate in the chat for more information. But without further ado, Risch.
All right. Thank you very much for all of the donations. We are closing out this first day of MAGFAST today with Mega Man Battle Network 3, the RPG game of the Mega Man series, if you've never seen them before. We're going to just go ahead and get started right away. I do have to use an audio cue to start the run, so I'll give you a bit of a countdown. I'm going to actually then soft reset, and you can just start the timer after the countdown, and I'm going to give it a few tries to try and hit a particular manip at the start of the run. So, without further ado, on go in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, that was too early. Sorry about that. I will explain exactly what I'm doing once I've hit it, because it takes a bit to explain. Alright, that should be good enough. So, what I was trying to line up there is a manip for a style change later on in the run. The style element that you get is decided at new game, so I have to hit an audio cue at the start in order to get a particular element, which will be potentially important. It's not a huge deal if I don't hit it, but I have a reputation to uphold. I have not missed that manip in about a year or so. So, this is Mega Man Battle Network. It is an RPG game with turn-based and real-time action combat combined into one. Here we see we are using battle chips, kind of like network transmission you just saw, in order to delete viruses on this 3x6 grid. I have access to the left 3x3, and the enemies have access to the right 3x3. So, this tutorial is just kind of showcasing some of the different chips. For example, we have support chips like area grab that give us access to more of the area on this 3x6 grid. So we can actually steal some area away from our enemies and use a sword attack, which normally requires you to be very close. So I'm actually just going to get hit here for fun because I like getting beat up by this Metar. Just take this time to get shotgun and finish off that fight. And now for the last one, which introduces the add function, where you can basically throw away chips like these Regups that are kind of useless, and you will end up with more chips on the next custom screen. So we're actually going to set up these Methars in a very particular way, which will allow us to very quickly delete them on the next turn with these two shotguns we've drawn. And that is the tutorial. I'm going to start explaining something in advance. Coming up is the first trip onto the internet proper. And I want to explain a little bit about mystery data, because we're going to be doing some fun stuff coming up. In this game, there are green mystery data that have random locations and contents. And contents are decided on the moment that you jack in and are re-rolled whenever you pick up a GMD, and the location is decided the moment that you enter the area. So we're actually going to be doing a manipulation, saving, soft resetting the game, and let me see if I can hit this audio cue. Alright, so that's actually a double audio cue that I'm trying to hit, and I'm trying to hit a particularly frame-perfect trick in order to get the best spawns for GMDs. I'm actually going to be looking at my surroundings a little bit to see exactly where GMDs spawn. Seeing that GMD there is actually really good. Means we might have hit the frame. We did not hit the frame, it did not spawn at the shop. So I can actually just go back here. And we're gonna do something else now. Oh, I was not supposed to grab that. We'll see what happens. I should be able to salvage this anyway. I actually know where the GMD spawns are, my bad. It's bad. So, I'm gonna save in front of this. We're actually going to do a hard reset instead, because the game does some weird shenanigans with GMDs that is dependent on the frame counter. Oops, I messed this up actually. Let me redo that, sorry. I was trying to explain too much and forgot to actually do the trick. Alright. So, that is actually really good for me that I got that 1000, because now I have to go grab the other GMD, which I know, based on the frame that I hit, is actually going to be at the top of this area. And that manip that I just did is supposed to set up this GMD to be 2000 centi, just like that. Getting 2000 and luckily the 1000 earlier is really good for me, because we actually need to be able to buy HP memories very early on in the run. And especially right now, we are pretty much just reliant on random Zenny. So we grab this 1000, and we're going to go into the next area. The reason that we need HP memories is because it impacts our ability to run away from fights, which is the fastest option most of the time, and later on our ability to sneak run from fights. So we're actually going to now skip over pretty much every GMD in the game. Unfortunately, we get this encounter. It kind of sucks because we don't have the correct health threshold to be able to first turn run from these fights. If I had 20 more HP, I could run from this on the first turn. Instead, I have to just sit through this. It is unfortunate, but it's a side effect of kind of messing up GMD manip just a little bit. But we get to this square, and now we can actually pick up one more HP memory for 2000, and we can go on our merry way. So now we start the N1 prelims, or basically just a little quiz. We have to go collect this data. There's actually two sets of data in the internet. We have to answer a question, true or false, and luckily I just know the answer. I can't actually read Japanese for the record, so I don't know what the question is in Japanese, but I know the answer is true regardless. So we grab the true data. We're also going to grab a chip over here after this encounter. As you can see, by the way, the extra HP memory I got allows me to run away first turn now in this area. So this extra chip is panel out 3. It's a star-coded chip, which will be kind of nice for folder flow. Folder flow is kind of important because it allows you to take more chips and go through your folder faster to get these strong chips. We're also going to grab Longsword E. This is a particularly strong chip early on, but it is also a story-required chip as well. So we're going to be using it to its utmost, and then we're going to be essentially throwing it away to continue the story. Alright, so we turn in the true data, and now he asks us another question. We have to go to ACDC 2 and collect, I believe it's false data this time, so. Very nice, we skipped an encounter there. A lot of this game kind of boils down to, did you get an encounter, and or did you not? And that is a big RNG aspect into different time saves and whatnot. So most of the time I'm sitting here praying, like, it's a small chance that you skip the encounter in this area during these trips. As you can see, I get it most of the time, but... Alright. So, now we actually have to get the last true or false data. I believe this one's also a true data, but it's in ACDC 1, so it's faster to just jack out, jack back in, and do it all again. Now, we could get more GMDs for more Zenny. However, we are past the point of needing random Zenny at this point. We can actually get every other Zenny amount that we need through set sources. Especially one particular trick later on that's going to be kind of crazy, and I'm hoping that I can hit it in a reasonable amount of time. We'll see what happens. Alright, so that is it for this first N1 Prelim 1. This is actually a prelim for a tournament. There's a tournament arc going on in this game, but we don't have to worry about it too much for now. We're just kind of trying to participate with our friends. That is that. And now we go eat dinner, and now it's time to go hang out with our friends on the internet. So, time to go all the way over to our friend Yai's place, on the internet of course. Small chance at a random encounter, we skipped it, very nice. Again, we don't need to pick up any GMDs at this point, so unlike the last run, I will not be grabbing literally everything. I'm not a collectaholic. Alright, so turns out our friend Dex left his homework at school, which is currently locked because it's, you know, really dark outside. It's almost nighttime, or it is nighttime. So we're gonna have to go on the internet because everything is connected to the internet in Battle Network, and we're gonna have to find the school key so we can unlock the doors so we can go get our friend Dex's homework, so we can actually do it. He's not gonna do it anyway, but it doesn't matter. Just a couple of kids breaking into a school. Not a big deal. This guard is currently sleeping. Don't worry about it. This is a chip called Copy Damage Star. It's not as strong in this game as you might have seen in other Battle Network games, but it is kind of useful at different points. So, unfortunately, right now is a very annoying time for me because it's completely silent, and there's no in-game music. That's not a bug. That's just intended. It's supposed to heighten the effects or like the ominousness of being in school after dark. So here we go. We are about to leave. We hear something from the principal's office. We're like, who else is in the school? So we go to investigate and keep hearing clacking. And it turns out someone else has actually broken into the school to steal something, and this is the panic music. All hell is broken loose now. So all three of our friends are actually now brainwashed and are running around as different things. We have to go talk to them, but first we have to collect some treats. That was Rock Cube Star, a very powerful chip we'll be seeing pretty soon, and another HP memory to help with our runaways. So now we have to go talk to each of our three friends to make sure see how they're doing. We have our friend Mail here, who is, you know, brainwashed to be a zombie. Steal a chip from her real quick. We're not going to use that chip, it's fine. Our friend Yai is a swan, beautiful swan. And our friend Dex is a choo-choo train. Alright, so, in order to block the rays that are causing these brainwashing techniques, we're actually just going to use an umbrella, because why not? That's just how this game works. And that allows us to enter the first dungeon comp of the game, Principal PC comp. Yeah, it's Principal Personal Computer comp. Yes. Alright, so the gimmick here is we actually can't see anything because it's dark. All the lights are turned off, which means that the light on the internet of this area is turned off. So we have to figure out what area connects to that internet area. They give us a little bit of a hint. I don't remember what the hint is, so we're just going to go there right away and go turn the lights on, which will allow the lights to flicker on the internet for some reason. And that allows us to now see some mystery data. These blue mystery data are set rewards. Some of them have keys that let us go to different areas for other keys, so it's kind of just a puzzle that you have to keep backtracking through. And some of the blue mystery data, because it's still dark, are actually viruses if you're not careful. So if you don't know what to grab, you'll sometimes just grab a virus on accident. That's kind of the gimmick of the comp. I was gonna grab 600 Zenny because money didn't hurt. And as you can see, we're just running away from every fight because taking these fights would be really slow. Our folder's not very good right now and not well equipped to... Oh, that was the wrong thing. Just showing off that mystery data can be viruses. This is the one I meant to grab. This is Regups 10 star. Again, helps with folder flow. And this is the last key of the area. Alright. So, moving on to area 2. The lights are off here, so we're going to have to do the same thing. This guy gives us a hint as to what area is connected to this internet area. So, it's that little statue that we're supposed to recognize from the teacher's lounge over here, so. And now we can move on. We're gonna go down here first, grab an HP memory. And then we go up here for the first key data. Then we have to go all the way over to this left side. This is the area I thought I was in last time, which is why I grabbed the wrong mystery data. And here we go, we grab a Spreader P. Spreader P is going to be very useful for a couple virus fights. I'm going to grab the second key data, and then grab the third data up here, which will allow us to go and fight the boss of Principal PC Comps. Good old Flashman. Alright, so before we go to that though, we have a couple things to take care of. First is this 1200 Zenny, very useful. We're also going to do a bit of a folder edit. We've gotten some chips and we kind of want to make use of them. So, hold on, I have to... This is, oh my god, this is really... Okay. Get that encounter out of the way anyway. It's good. This is really hard to do. I'm not used to this controller. There we go. So Reg attack plus 10. Don't worry about all of these weird things we're doing. Oh, wait. Yeah, this is correct. 3. Nope, that is supposed to stay attack plus 10. I was supposed to get rid of that, and then we're supposed to add 1. All of those. There we go. Now we can save. Hard reset our game. And we're going to do a bit of a manipulation because I don't like random draws on fights where I don't really have a lot of good draws. Luckily, we don't have to worry about the title screen. The RNG is not advancing on the title screen that affects draws, so we're just going to draw Longsword and Air Shot, which is going to deal 20 damage, and set us up perfectly for Rock Shot. When you hit an enemy with a rock just like that, pushing it into the enemy deals 200 damage. So it's very strong for some of these early boss fights where we don't have any other good tools. And that is the first boss, and now, again, we have no music. It's terrifying to me as someone who, like, needs audio. Alright. There we go. So, that is the first scenario of the game done. We then move on to the second scenario, which is going to be the Beastman scenario. We start off with going to the metro, which is currently blocked by this small child who is really annoying. We don't dare mention his name, he's too powerful. So, alright. Go ahead.
We have actually got a couple of donations that just came in.
Perfect timing.
We have a massive $100 donation from TJ09. He says, "What's up, bro?"
Thank you, TJ.
And then also our good friend Kazulu, who was on stage moments ago, donated $10. He said, oh, look, Risch, another HP memory, which brings our total to $500.75. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys so much. Super appreciate it. But yes, that was actually an intentional death. No, I was not just playing really badly. I was playing badly on purpose, trust me. That fight is not a forced loss, but there's no reason to win, and he has 700 health, which is really difficult to eat through at this point in the run. So it's just faster to intentionally die and let Dex think that he's the better net battler for now. Because it literally doesn't impact the story in any other way. There's going to be a lot of points in the run where I'm just going to start jamming out to the music instead. I'm going to be pressing R to the beat. It's a very important skill when you're a Battle Network speedrunner, is being able to press R to the beat to fill in downtime. So you can't do it on the internet, unfortunately, because it would make you jack out instead. Alright. Gotta read a few emails. This sets up a shortcut which will be useful later on and gives us a security passcode to get through this cube, which makes this the faster route to take in order to get to the Cyber Metro station, in order to get to the Scilab internet area. So that is where we're off to next for the next step of that N1 prelim that I was talking about earlier. The N1 Grand Prix is the tournament that we are trying to enter, so we have a couple more sets of prelims to go through first. So, before we do that though, we're going to grab one more HP memory, which will let us run away from fights in Scilab area first turn, and then this is going to be a gauntlet of 3 fights. So, we're actually going to manipulate the draws for this, because this is a very annoying gauntlet otherwise. Ooh, I messed that up. I accidentally pressed B. Problems with not being used to the controller. Alright, try this again. There we go. So, that is going to give us a window of frames that will give us a good enough, or a very good draw on a lot of these fights. And because RNG is not advancing consistently, or is advancing very consistently in fights, I should say, we can just chain these manip draws together and just demolish these fights. There we go. So, now we have to go find the virus king. Because he's going to be he's the next part of the prelim. Not actually a virus king. He's an actor, a paid actor. There is a little bit of a manip that I'm trying to keep going with all of this. It's not really a manip. There's a decent window if I get lucky enough to draw Spreader on the next fight, which is really good. It's not really a manip, I'm just more so hitting something. I'm just getting really lucky, but that's what I'm hoping for right now, because Spreader is really, really good on this next fight. I've never skipped that encounter. Never skipped that. That is crazy good RNG. To make up for it, I'm probably going to get an encounter right here. No? What? Anyway. So that oh, it doesn't mess with the Spreader draw. Anyway, nice. That's why I want Spreader. Raddies can be really annoying if you don't deal with them properly. So, we finished that, and as a reward so far for getting this far, we get the Cyber Metro Pass to AC/DC, which we're actually never going to use, not even a single time throughout the entirety of the run. There's no reason to go to AC/DC through the Cyber Metro. Instead, we're going to jack out and go to AC/DC 2 this way for the final step of this particular prelim. Also, I have a question for the people backstage. I believe that there's a donation incentive for every $15 donation or something. I'm supposed to do a humor joke. Is that still on? I believe.
Yes, it is. Anything that you can earn, we'll try to match.
All right. Ooh, I didn't do the folder edit. Let me fix that real quick. I forgot. There's a small folder edit first. There we go. Sorry about that. So, I will admit, I left the paper backstage in my backpack with all the humor jokes on it. So I don't have access to that file right now. Ooh, I messed this up slightly. It's okay because it'll still chain properly into the next fight. It's just going to be annoying for now. Alright, come to the front. Please, sir. Thank you. Alright. There we go. Copy damage is really good on that guy in particular because he does not take damage from anything. So, unless you hit him with breaking damage. So, but copy damage goes through that. So, all right. With that said, that is the second prelim done. But because of our encounter with Flashman, our PET is messed up, and we actually don't have access. Like we've lost our connection to land. So in order to get back, we have to go to the place that we originally jacked in from in order to actually get back to land. All right. So, oh wait, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. Now we're going on a school trip to the zoo, because that's always a blast. I did mention this is Beastman scenario, by the way, so totally nothing can ever go wrong at the zoo. Absolutely nothing. We're also about to get a tutorial on the MAGFAST, the new feature that was added specifically in Bound Eric 3. You'd be familiar with it if you played Bound Eric 3 through 6. So, that paper is in a folder in my backpack, which is just like right by the snacks back there. For the record, it's an Under Armour backpack. So this is the MAGFAST. You basically are putting these Tetris-like pieces on. Thank you very much. All right. So how many humor jokes do I owe? I imagine Phantom requested one. I imagine TJ09 requested one. Meta Ruler probably requested one at least.
Sounds like you've just about got it.
So I owe 3. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to go down this list that I've been provided by our good friend Taraj42. So, the first one. 2 hydrogen atoms are walking down the street. One of them trips and falls. His friend says, "Are you okay?" "I don't know. I think I lost my electron." "Are you sure?" "I'm positive." Thank you. The second one, by the way, we were just talking to all the animals in the zoo. It's not important. Second one. Okay, hold on. Before I get to the next joke, I seem to have forgotten to talk to an animal. We have to go on a journey real quick. I don't know which one I forgot. Might have been you. Did I forget the flamingo again? Oh my god. This is always the best part of the run when I forget which animal I talked to. Oh god, it was the flamingo, wasn't it? It wasn't the flamingo. Oh my god. Did I forget the elephant? Oh my god, which one did I forget? You're supposed to talk to every animal in the zoo. And you also have to talk to Dex, which is pretty important. But I know I talked to Dex for a fact. Alright. With that, I have re-talked to everything. There's no way. Please, game. Thank you. Okay. Alright. Now everything is broken. All hell is broken loose in the zoo, and we're back on track. So I can get back to these humor jokes. Alright. Land! Viruses were trying to steal your data. What? Which way did they go? They went data way. Sorry. Alright, so that's 2 down, and now for the third one. Alright. You know Einstein's famous equation, E equals mc squared, right? Yeah, so? Well, one of his students could never remember it. He always wrote E equals m2c instead of E equals mc squared. So, he went to ask which is right, but he was so nervous, he spoke in a small, stammering voice. Speak up, said Einstein. What is it you're asking? 2c or not 2c? That is the question. See you later, Mega Man. Thank you. Alright, so that is 3 humor jokes completed. Let me know if I owe any more than 3. I will continue reading from this list. Also, if you know me, you know that I hate puns, so reading these, like, actually hurts my soul. Hurts me so deep down.
Phantom Matt just dropped $5. He says 3 jokes is clearly not enough for this late night stream.
Alright, so I owe another one? Is that what you're telling me? Alright. For the 4th joke. Alright. Let me first explain what's going on in this comp before I get to that, because I do want to touch on that. Basically, there are viruses that are in our way, and in order to deal with the viruses, they're kind of like portraying animals or just objects in general, and we need to find the program that will properly deal with them. Sometimes it causes them to explode from happiness, sometimes it causes them to overfill themselves, sometimes it's just an octopus crawling into a jar. You know, who knows what the heck is going on with these viruses and progs, but that's the goal, is to get them to explode like that. So, that being said, the 4th humor joke that I owe, of course Phantom Matt would donate more to make me read more jokes because he knows me so well. Alright. I went to that new undersea gym the other day. Oh yeah? How was it? I think I pulled a muscle. Not on porpoise, I hope. I thought that when you heard that one, you'd just clam up. No, but if we keep this up, our players might get crabby. You're right. Cod we just squid while we're ahead? Man, some of these puns start feeling forced right there. Jeez. Thank you for the donation, by the way.
You know, you're really good at telling those jokes.
Am I?
Yeah, so much so that the backstage here just wants to hear you tell more. So, 1717, how many jokes is that going to get us?
So, I mean, if we were going off of dollar amounts, so we need to be careful. If we're going off dollar amounts, that $100 would have me read this whole page like 3 times.
Yeah. So I guess just 1.
Yeah. All right. For the 5th.
We're gonna have to ask for help from the rest of the viewers.
Yes. If you want to hear me go through this entire sheet of paper, we'll need more donations. All right. For the 5th joke. I was chatting with a MASH the other day. For context, I will provide context on this one. A MASH is a virus type in this game. It looks like a little mushroom, okay? Just for context. Anyway. I was chatting with a Mash the other day. You mean that virus that looks like a mushroom? Aren't they dangerous? Normally they are. But he was a pretty fun guy. That joke is in really spore taste, Mega Man. Thank you for the donation backstage.
Keep up with those awesome explanations, too. They're very enjoyed.
Alright. We are coming up to the end of this particular dungeon comp. This area actually has 4 to it, unfortunately. Unlike the principal PC comp that literally only had 2 comps. This one ends up kind of dragging on a little bit. There is a fun little fact about this, though. Every time you pick up a prog, like I just did, in order to take it to a virus, the game actually effectively does a map change, and what that means is it will reset your step counter to 0. And because of that, if you do it properly, you can sometimes skip over encounters as a result of it. So for example, this particular comp, we might be able to skip an encounter if we are lucky enough to pick up the prog before the before we get the encounter. It's coming up after these 2. Alright, so this trip we will potentially get an encounter on, unless we get to the prog first, is what I'm hoping for. Oh. Cutting corners is hard in this game, I swear. Alright. Oh, we skipped it, nice. Very good. So that resets our step counter, and we're done for the comp, pretty much. For those curious, this last one is 3 viruses, 3 progs. We have to finish 3 lists of items. It's like a lion, a ram, and I don't even know what. Don't ask how they're related. They're not actually related. Alright. We don't need to do a folder edit for this one. We just need to save and hard reset our game. And this will set up for a very nice fight. Unfortunately, this is kind of annoying because we have to walk up in order to hit this draw. But this draw is really good. Especially for an enemy with 500 health. Alright, one more, and then that. Perfect. Alright, I just need him to attack me one more time. And it just works so perfectly to deal exactly enough damage over 2 turns. And there we have Beastman deleted. I actually need to pull up some notes on my phone, so I apologize. I won't be able to read your lovely messages in chat for a brief period of time. This is very important coming up. Right. So, coming up is a particularly kind of boring part of the run, but it helps set up for some more fun stuff through the rest of the run. This coming up is Lotto Codes. Basically, there are a bunch of codes hidden throughout the game. Sometimes you have to talk to NPCs, sometimes help requests or something will give you a key item that will tell you a code or something like that. And it's just an 8-digit number that gives you a reward when you type it into this here number trader, or Lotto trader. So, for example, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5. This gives us an unlocker, which will be very useful later on. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2. This gives us something called Fast Gauge, which is a MAGFAST program we'll be using later on. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This gives us something called Spin White. It lets us spin MAGFAST programs that are the color white. Now we're going to start getting some battle chips. Fountain, we're actually only using that because it's a water chip. You will understand why later. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. This is Salamander. We are only using it because it's a fire chip. Oops. Muramasa. It's a pretty strong chip, deals more damage the the more health you are missing. So it can be pretty strong when used right. Spreader Star, just good for folder flow. 1, 2, 1, 2. Airshot 3, again, really good for flow and for baiting certain attacks as well. 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5. This High Can Star, again, really good for flow. Now we're getting into some really strong chips. Gut Straight has a command input that can let you fire 3 fists that deal 100 damage each. Can be very powerful when used correctly. I will probably never hit that once in this run because I'm not used to this controller. Yes, I'm blaming the controller. Step Cross is really good. It's a 260 damage sword that, when used right at least, we'll see it quite often. This is a 180 damage sword that hits 3 panels ahead. Very nice. And now for the king of battle chips, in Battle Network 3 specifically. Var Sword. We're going to see a lot of it. It's a sword that deals 160 damage, but it has a lot of different inputs you can do that have all sorts of different effects. This is just copy damage star. We've actually already seen it used a couple times. Just another copy of it. Can't hurt. And then lastly, Bolt. Oop, I messed it up. 4, 3, 1, 1, 2, 5. There we go. Alright. I'm pressing the wrong buttons. I'm trying to skip cutscenes like really fast and losing a lot of time to try and do it, so I'm going to stop. But yeah, Bolt is a chip that only works if we get the right element for our style change. And that'll be coming up in not too long from now. That is the wrong place to go to. There we go. So, hopefully we hit the manip at the beginning of the run so that we can actually make use of Bolt. Otherwise, it's just good flow for our folder. And now, coming up is a very important part of the run. We need a chip in order to be able to progress later on. This is the best time to try and get that chip, even though it is technically slightly out of our way. So we're actually going to do some very strict movement to set up our step counter on a particular value. Alright, and then we're going to do a folder edit. There we go. We're going to start throwing in some of those really good chips that we just acquired. We're going to sort by attack to get some good stuff near the top of our folder. The reason we want chips at the top of our folder is they are more likely to be drawn due to a quirk in the way the folder shuffling algorithm works. We're more likely to draw chips that are near the top of our folder, hence why we try and get stuff up there. Now I'm going to do a manip that requires some important audio in order to set up a fight, and I messed it up. Did I go too early? Alright. There we go. Should be better. Really? That's weird. It's like a 1 in 9 chance from a random fight to get this chip. So it's actually better to manipulate it like this. This is really weird. I really hope I didn't mess this up, otherwise I just have to kind of YOLO it. Oh, I think it went too early that time. Oh my god. Alright, I'll give it one more try, and then I think I'm just gonna YOLO it from here. This is not looking too good. It's gonna be late. Alright, that one I know what I did wrong, so I'm gonna try it one more time. Sorry. I promise. This is kind of worth it. Is that better? Oh my god. Alright, fine. We're gonna take random fights. This is very unfortunate. because, like I said, it's a 1 in 9. We have to run into an encounter with the win box in it, and then we have to get the win box's reward. So, all right. All right, this is a 1 in 3 chance, so let's try this out. Nice. All right, that works. We take those. So that is Wind Star. It is a story-required chip, and normally we would get it through RNG manipulation. Unfortunately, it seems I'm not as comfortable with the audio setup we have here. So it's a bit more difficult to do, given that there are audio cues involved.
We actually got another $5 donation from Phantom Matt. He said that looked like a rough Lotto code. I think it's a good joke would help take your mind off it.
Well, I don't mind at all, Phantom. Alright. Next joke. Alright, hold on. I gotta talk to you. Actually, I have to do a couple important menus first, so let me focus on that. So it's what? RLB, down, down, down. Oh, wait. RLB, down, down, down. There we go. First, we have to remove this. That. We want this to actually be bugged. That gives us a buster bug, actually, that will allow us to, when we use a pellet shot, it'll actually turn into a guard instead, and that guard will reflect attacks at enemies for 40 damage when timed correctly. So it's really strong for some upcoming fights. Now, that said, next joke. During that bubble wash incident in Mail's kitchen, I hear Miss Mari singing. Oh yeah? What was she singing? Foam, foam on the range. I wonder if this humor program is actually working. Alright, there we go. Good enough draw. I didn't actually sing that to the correct beat, by the way. I forgot what the the song is inspired by for a second. It sucks, unfortunately, because that joke involves knowledge of the story that we haven't gotten to yet. So. Alright. So right now, we're actually just performing in... we're helping out a friend, Higsby, who is our local chip shop dealer, or trader, excuse me. He is asking us to do a few jobs for him. We have nothing better to do, so we're doing it. And that is the last job that we had to do. We had to first find our friend's find his client's briefcase, which had some important data in it. We had to then get some money from someone else that owed Higsby, and then we had to bring a battle chip to someone who had spent $1 million, Zenny, excuse me, on that battle chip. And now that we've finished those jobs, we can move on to the final prelim for the N1 Grand Prix, with a bit of a twist to this particular prelim. In this one, this is actually where we need Longsword E, by the way, right here. We need Longsword E in order to be able to get the Cyber Metro Pass to Yoka area, so that we can actually get there for the next prelim. And then, once we get there, we're going to talk to a Navi who's going to lock our folder into what is called an extra folder. What that means is it's a folder that we do not have the ability to update ourselves. It is strictly a locked folder. We can't take chips out of it, we can't put chips into it. We can't even swap the slots of the chip. Everything is locked in for us. Right there is where we get locked in. And now we have to go do a set of 5 fights with humans dressed up as Navis on the real world. And these fights, because we have a locked folder, it's really nice being able to use this Buster bug. Oops. Which helps make a lot of these fights a bit faster, a bit more consistent. Alright. That is an unfortunate draw. That sucks. What an awful draw I just got. Luckily, the charge shot is not impacted by this Buster bug, so we can still charge the Buster if we need to deal consistent damage. Those enemies, their attacks deal breaking damage, so it would break our guard and would not actually reflect anything, hence why it's not as good on that particular enemy. So these guys are hidden all over the real world, in AC/DC, in Scilab, and in Yoka. So we have to go to all corners of the real world in order to find each of these dudes to fight. All right. Very nice. Spreader works really well. It actually saves one cycle of doing those busters, or those buster guards, because it does just enough damage. Alright. One more fight here in Yoka, hidden right behind this place. Oops. This fight, there's a particularly good draw. We did not see it. That is fine. Oh, there we go. That's what I meant to do. Alright, and now we have to go to Scilab for one final real-world fight before we can carry on with the final step of the prelims. For those curious, I am grabbing the Metro Pass early. It saves usually about 1 frame to do so at that point. So it is faster to grab it early than it is to grab it late. Oh, that just lined up very nicely. Alright, and now we can go to the last, or we can go back to Yoka Square once again, where we can finish up the N1 prelim, finally, with a 3-fight gauntlet. But we are still forced to use this extra folder. We're locked into it, we cannot swap until after this prelim. That was a good draw. Alright, one more fight. This one can be a particularly annoying fight if we don't get a good draw, but we got just a good enough one. Alright, that is it for the prelims. We are done. We are also free. We actually do still have the extra folder equipped, but we are able to swap it now at any time we want. So, time to go home and go to sleep for the day. Alright. And then, on this coming up day, is where we are actually, this is the point in the story that we are required to have Windstar by. We enter our friend Mail's house. She's setting up a bubble washer. Our friend Higsby tries to get her to do some work for him, and he basically just wants a Windstar, so we go and get it for him, aka we've already gotten it. So, this new bubble washer that our friend Mail got is infected with a virus. Shocking, I know. Basically, it traps people in a bubble, as you can see over there, that after a period of time will actually explode. Yes, they're exploding bubbles made by a dishwasher. So we have to figure out a way to deal with it, and the only way to deal with it is to stop the Navi responsible, aka Bubble Man. So we have to kind of chase him around the internet a little bit. But we're going to run into a few snags here and there that's going to cause us to kind of backtrack and, you know, maybe sidetrack a little. So it's actually fastest to go to Scilab first to get closer to the metro station so that we can go to Yoka from here. The reason that it's fastest to go to Scilab is because we actually have to be at Scilab after this point anyway. We actually have to come here very shortly after, so just works out very nicely in our favor. So you can actually notice in Yoka there's these weird smaller paths. We can't actually cross over these paths yet, and that's going to be the first snag that we hit. So we're going to find Bubble Man, and he's going to have already crossed a small path because he's light and foamy, something like that. And we're gonna need to figure out a way that Mega Man can make it across these tiny paths. So we're gonna check out our dad's lab at Scilab here. And here is going to have some data that we want, but they think we're an intruder, so I also didn't change my folder because I messed up, but whatever, not a huge deal. There we go. Not too bad, all things considered. Then they realize who we are, they give us some compression data, but we can't actually use it right now, it doesn't fit in Mega Man. We're also going to grab this 1000 Zenny for later use. That's all. So we need to go find a programmer, our dad is currently MIA, who is skilled enough to make this compression data able to fit in Mega Man. So we're going to check, actually I don't need to use any metro station passes after this. So we check with Higsby because he's a programmer. He doesn't know how to do it. Some random dude, Beard Man, shows up and just has the skills necessary and gives us a new NaviCust program called Press. When it's on the NaviCust, we are able to walk across those tiny paths, which we need to very often. So we're going to actually now use Yais, which has a shortcut. It takes us to Scilab Square in order to get to the Cyber Metro to take it to Yoka. We're actually going to do a quick menu here. I messed up a little bit. Quick NaviCust to add in Press real quick. It's very important. We're also going to read an email from our friend Mail, which is going to give us a security cube we're going to need to use later on in the run. Not quite yet. Now we go to Yoka. So, before we even go back to see Bubble Man, we're going to take this small detour to use this press path, which is actually going to give us access to an HP memory. Also, I still haven't switched my folder. I'll do that right now. There we go. Back to our main folder with all of our good chips. And now we can actually finally cross this press path. But we have a long way to go through this area. This area is very long and winding and just dull. So I'm imagining that we do not currently have any donations at this moment. I'm assuming they would have told me to read a joke or something.
No donations at this time, but you can still do so. Exclamation donate in the chat.
Yes, please do. Raising money for child... Is that what it's called? Child's Play, right? I don't know why I always forget that name. Alright, so... Bubble Man now has put up a bubble that can only be pierced with a needle that he has given to his minions and sent them to hide on the internet. So we're going to chase them around the internet. And during this first fight with them is actually going to cause something known as a style change. The style change is based on two things. One is the element that I told you about at the beginning, based on RNG when you press new game. And, oh god, there's also the actual style component of it that is based on how you play the game. Every fight with a reward screen gives you a point towards this style. Alright, we're golden. I've never missed a Lekmanev in my life. Anyway, so yes, that was what I was manipulating for at the beginning, was to be able to get a Lek so that I can use the Bolt battle chip, which is very, very strong. Hopefully we'll be able to see it on Bubble Man coming up. And the custom part of that gives us one extra chip on our custom screen, so we're more likely to see one of those good chips that we're trying to get. Also, I was supposed to go buy an HP memory now that I have more money. Go. Out of the way. So, the way that the custom style is selected is we actually do 4 fights with a reward screen, 2 of them being bosses that we take a lot of chips on, which gives us a custom point, and 1 of them being the Windstar fight, which we specifically took 3 chips on or more in order to... We actually didn't have any other style we could have gotten from that fight, so we get another custom point. And then the 4th fight is that last fight we just did with the style change at the end of it. But because we already have 3 custom points, the custom just outweighs everything else. I'm actually looking for a particular reward from this fight, and we got it. Nice. Heat V is a fire chip we will be needing later on in the run. It's very, very nice that we got it now, because we'll actually be able to make use of the fact that we got Heat V and get another heat chip as a result later. Alright, but now we have chased these guys back to Yoka area, so now we can go fight them one last time, and then we can finally make our way to Bubble Man. So, one thing that I haven't really talked about just yet in the run is the way movement in these games work. You might be confused why sometimes I'm running diagonally into walls and sometimes I'm choosing to not do so. The way the movement in this game works is because of the isometric view of the game, horizontal movement is actually the map is kind of stretched horizontally is the best way to put it. So it takes much longer to travel horizontal distance than it does to travel a vertical distance. Not really, well, yes, according to the map it does. So, aka horizontal movement's bad. I'm trying to avoid horizontal movement as much as possible. Running into walls is forced diagonal movement, which is good, and vertical movement is even better than that. If we can ever do vertical movement, we should be. So that explains a little bit of why I'm doing the particular movement that I am. There we go. Alright, so now we have acquired the needle. We can pop the bubble and move on to another winding press path on our way to Bubble Man. And there he is, the lad, the most perhaps annoying boss in the entire game, even in the entire series, in my opinion. Alright, so we're actually going to do a bit of interesting movement to set up for a potential manip. We're not going to do it just yet, because we're actually going to check. We only need one battle chip on this fight. If we draw... yeah, that's good enough. Oh, unlucky. He's low enough that I can just keep doing this for now. Because we have Hero Sword and Hero Sword. So, we didn't need to do the manip and show off Bolt. Bolt is very strong, though. You can take my word for it. Alright. So, now, a lot of this game has been sort of leading up to a tournament arc. This is now finally the tournament arc. We're actually just before the tournament. We've been invited to an interview, so we're going to go talk to our friends and invite them as well. They're all going to decline us, though, because they're bad friends. Just kidding. They're actually just busy.
We also invite you with another donation.
Thank you.
A $5 donation from our dear friend, Phantom Matt. He says, all right, I got a bolt, but I'd like to say this current marathon has been a joy, which is not a shock at all. Good luck with the rest of it, Rich.
Thank you, Phantom Matt. Have a great night, my friend, and appreciate all of your wonderful donations. I will read out, I imagine, there was an ask for another humor joke before you go. So, the next one on my lovely list here. I heard that Yai's house was burglarized. That's terrible. Didn't they lock the door? Yeah, but somebody got intruder window. And there we go. Thank you, Phantom. I'm gonna have to do a quick detour here to buy an HP memory. And that is pretty much all of the Zenny that we've needed thus far, was to basically be able to get everything up to this point. Now we're not going to have to grab any more mystery data with Zenny in it. And we'll find out why after the next big boss. But first we're going to take the shortcut to Dex's. I'm going to try and invite him. He's not here. He's doing an endurance contest in Yoka. We're going to go talk to him over there.
You know, while you're going to talk to them, we got yet another donation.
Very nice.
So, says, gotta throw a few more bucks for the kids. Keep up the great work. And, obviously, Intelligent.
Thank you, thank you. Alright, so I imagine that one was also requesting a humor joke. So, the next joke on my lovely list here. Hey Mega Man, could you help me with the geometry problem? Sure, Lan. What's the problem? What do you get when you divide... Also, I'm going on the back. What do you get when you divide the circumference of a jack-o'-lantern by its diameter? That's easy. Pumpkin pie. Okay, but if I get points off, it's your fault. Alright, so now we have an email that we need to read. Oh, that's not email. This gives us the final Cyber Metro Pass to Beach area, the final internet area. We actually haven't visited Beach Town or anything yet because we're going to the internet area first. But that's where we'll be going next. That's actually the location of the N1 Grand Prix that we'll be doing right after this day. Alright. So, go off to the beach. This is where our interview will happen. We're trying to interview different contestants for the N1 Grand Prix before the tournament begins. We're also going to try and get another battle chip that is story required called Yo-Yo 1G. This is the best area to get it. It would drop from those enemies. I don't like risking the 50-50 on the fight. I would rather get a fight with double Yort. So we're gonna keep going. We're actually gonna get 3 random encounters on our way to the square. And if we don't get it within that, we do have a backup manip. Alright, final one, and I don't like it, whatever. This manip coming up is actually really, really good. It has such a huge window of good enough, like frames that will get you the encounter you need, and then the drop is practically guaranteed, so like, there's really not a whole lot you have to do with it. So, here we go, this is the setup. We run over to this corner, just like that, buffered movement. We're actually gonna do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 stops. Then we run into this corner. And let's do another hard reset. The reason that we stopped like that is because the final frame of movement when you... give me a moment. The final frame of movement when you stop Mega Man actually... Of course. How did I manage to get the one of the like few frames that actually has a bad fight on it? There we go. Let's try this again. Oh wait, I was supposed to use an audio cue, that's why. Whatever. This is good enough. Getting hit twice should be fine. Yep. Yo-Yo 1G. There we go. Alright. But yeah, so stopping, the final frame of movement does not actually increase your step counter, so you can actually use that to save a couple of steps. It's usually not too useful for like actual management of step counter, but it helps to line up particular things such as that manip. So. Fun fact, because we also did that manip, it happens to line up very nicely with a lot of these fights, these forced fights we have to do, to give us some good draws as well. So it's usually not too bad to do that manip, even though manips can lose you time due to the extra hard reset you have to do. So those fights were incredibly clean as a result. Alright, and now we have to do a quick errand. We have to run an errand for our mom, take something to our dad at work. And then it'll be finally time for the tournament arc to begin. So our dad's not in right now, so we give it to one of his coworkers, and then we find him right there anyway, so yeah, whatever. Not important story-wise. So with that, it's now time to go home and go to sleep, so we can wake up on the day of the tournament. All right. So now it's time. We go to beach. First time ever. Also, I mentioned earlier about how grabbing a Metro Pass early is faster, typically by like a frame or so. However, any Metro Pass that you grab before a scenario ends will actually just get reset anyway. So, for example, I didn't need to grab one there. Also, this is very similar to the Gutsman fight. We're actually going to figure out how to lose at chest as optimally as possible. Been working on my chess.com. Okay, actually, I really messed it up right now. Unfortunate, but that was still good enough. But yes, Kingman is kind of a cheater at chess, and basically, he's a really annoying fight. We don't have the best way to deal with him, so dying to him is just faster most of the time. If you get a perfect draw on turn 1, sometimes it can be worth it to just delete him instead, but again, it's not even deal anyway. Alright, now for the final encounter manip that we need to do, and this one might actually be the toughest, so let's see if I can do it. I'm going to read an email first. Alright, this one is for a chip that, if you've ever played Battle Network 3, might have eluded you a bit. It's called Iceball M. It's a very rare virus that typically should only really show up if you have the Fish Navicus program in, but because we have the power of Manip, we can potentially just get it right here, right now, just like that. That is a manip that I'm very proud of. I came up with that one on my own, so I'm very, very happy with this one. I'm very happy that I hit it, so. It's practically a guarantee to get Iceball M above 6 rank, so you just need to get the encounter. It's a very rare encounter. It's a 1 in 548 chance to just happen across that encounter. But when you have the power of Manip, anything is possible. Again, we're also locked into an extra folder right now. It's part of the tournament. So we had to grab that data, which allow us to open a door that will get us to the victory data that we need in order to progress to the next stage of the tournament. So, just walk along this press path, this press path. This is the door that was in our way. The victory data is right over here. Alright, so with that, we're going to come up to a boss fight now. So, the setup for this particular... We can actually manip this fight, which is kind of crazy given that we have an extra folder that we can't swap the slots around for, but it just works out. That we can just perfectly manip for a good enough draw. Getting good draws on this fight can be really challenging. But we did choose the path with grass panels on it, and burner is fire damage, which causes us to deal double damage with those fire chips, as long as you can get them to the front. So now you might notice this 3-minute timer on the top right. The point of this is now we have to look at a bunch of different extra folders that each of these guys give us, and choose which folder we want to use going into the next fight. However, I'm actually just going to grab these extra folders because it's going to set up flags in my library to say that I have those chips, or I've acquired those chips, which will let me buy them from Higsby later on. So there's 2 folders that I just grabbed for that purpose, and then this is the real folder that we actually want. He has a quiz for us. We have to answer very quickly, and he gives us the folder. So we're done. We can now just go sit there and wait. So we have 2 minutes to, you know, just hang out, relax before the next fight. Unfortunately, I can't do the fun thing there's a really cool thing that if you have the game with left and right enabled, right? So you can press left and right at the same time. You can actually let go of them at the same time, and land just walks in place. It looks really funny, but I can't do it on a GameCube, unfortunately, right now. I don't have the proper means. But anyway, I hope you're all doing phenomenally tonight. We get to hang out for about a minute and a half. And yes, this will be a very good reminder now to, you know, if you want to help donate to Child's Play, feel free to. You know, as we said, we do have the incentives to read out these humor jokes. For those that aren't familiar, these humor jokes are actually in the game. If we were to be playing the US version, you could actually get the humor program and read, and like actually, they would actually show up when you press the L button. And I mean, even if you don't want to donate for those incentives, if you don't like puns like me, you know, you can just donate for a good cause. It's a great idea. Highly recommend it. We super appreciate any amount that you can afford. So thank you guys so much for all your support. The reason, for the record, that we got this extra folder is because it has a VAR sword in it. That's the whole reason that we just got that one. Is we've been abusing VAR sword thus far quite a bit. So that particular VAR sword is going to be very important. We're actually going to manip these fights coming up to draw it, and some other supporting chips as well to finish off these fights. Oh, highly recommend. I should have stood up, honestly. It's a very good time to stretch normally, you know, use the bathroom every now and then. I can't do that while I'm on stage, but... Alright, so, there we go, timer's up. Now we can save, hard reset, and go into the next fight. And here we go. Oh, I messed it up. Do I want to hard reset again? I don't know if it's worth it. It's probably gonna be worth it. This folder's really, like, all the folders are really bad and don't do well on these fights. They take like 3-4 turns. So like, just resetting is often going to be faster if I mess up the VAR sword inputs. Oh my god, this is... So, I'm not comfortable with using it on this controller, but the VAR inputs I'm trying to do are, I have to hold A, and then press BB left, down, up in succession. And that causes elemental sonic boom. Oh my god, it's so hard. I did it twice already, and I'm like shocked that I did it first try, those first 2 tries. Alright. There it is. And now we just need to finish him off with a little bit extra damage. There we go. Now, realistically, with the amount of times I messed it up, it probably still would have broken even with just sitting through that fight and waiting a few turns and dealing with what I got. So, that's how powerful VAR sword is. Alright, so, now that I've messed up VAR sword, still have to do it again, because the next fight also requires using that VAR sword again. But we have made it to the semi-finals of the N1 Grand Prix. So now we actually have access to our regular folder. We can just use it if we really wanted to, but this extra folder also has one very good chip that will very much help on this next boss fight. Oh wait, I messed up the movement there. My bad. Oh my, I messed that up. Okay. This is really hard to do when I'm not used to the controller. Alright, let's just do this on. I can't hold all of the buttons properly. Alright, let's just put this down like this, shall we? There we go. Alright, that's how we do it. Alright. So that gets us area grab, which lets us get in front of-ish these pawns, which would otherwise block the Varsword that I can't seem to do. It's okay, soon we'll have so many of these Varswords I won't need to do this manip shenanigans ever again, so... I got to do this the right way. Alright. There it is, except I got counter hit out of it. We got 2 hits in though, so it should be fine for now. Alright, we're gonna make you do this. Oh, I forgot that that does that. Alright. Alright, whatever. Much better. As long as we finish the fight, it's fine. Alright. We're also now soon going to see the power of Bolt. So I'll start explaining what Bolt actually does. Bolt is a chip, as I said, that only works when you're the elect element for your style change. What it does is it looks at any obstacles on the field and hits every panel around them for 210 damage. This can stack if there are panels that overlap with, you know, the bolt hitting other obstacles. So, for example, we're actually going to see it hit this upcoming boss for quite a bit, and we're also going to deal with some very annoying obstacles at the same time. First, let's equip the right folder, save, and hard reset again. This one's a bit easier to do, so... I'm rolling and accidentally hitting right way too frequently because this D-pad is much smaller than I'm used to. Alright. 380 health. I could probably get away with doing something else, but I got this. Oop, I pressed the wrong button. Holding the wrong direction. Oh. There it is. So the reason that's so good is because the second slash is the one in particular that hits Desert Man. Because he's made of sand, water solidifies him for a bit, which normally if you hit him with any attack, he'll just, you know, kind of sift away like sand. So the second slash being Aqua hits him, solidifies him, lets the other two also hit him and delete him. Alright, now we're going to go visit our friend Yai, who during the tournament managed to fall on her head and is now in the hospital. The hospital also just happens to be in the beach area. So, gotta figure out where she is on the second floor. And coming up is perhaps the hardest trick in the game, but also one of the coolest tricks, depending on your point of view. And the trick that allows us to not have money troubles at all is a trick known as Gamble Manip. If you've ever played this game, you might know that there's a gambling minigame inside this vending machine where you have a 1 in 4 chance to pick a tile, and if you pick the right tile, you will get some more money out of it. And you can kind of chain these together. Now this only requires a soft reset, so not as much time loss per attempt. So we're going to be using a bunch of audio cues back to back in order to try and make sure that we get the right panel every single time. Okay, that felt good. Hope that wasn't too early. Good. That felt really good. And there we go. First try, actually. I'm impressed. That just gives us 256,000 zenny, which is more than enough zenny for the rest of the entirety of the run. So, for the record, that is 1 title screen audio cue to line up everything else, and then 4 back-to-back audio cues of 7 frames, 5 frames, 6 frames, 6 frames. And yes, the trick to it is to just vibe with the music. Now, there are other setups you can do. There are visual setups that allow you to, you know, use the like circles in the background, and the way they line up with certain things. First thing we're gonna buy with all of our newly acquired money is a thing called mod tools. This lets us put in a code on the MAGFest program to get an extra effect, which sometimes comes with a side effect, sometimes it doesn't. We're only gonna be putting in one particular code with mod tools relatively shortly, but it's gonna be it's actually not gonna be too soon, actually. But we wanted to make sure that we got that out of the way. So this next part is also especially casually, a relatively boring part of the run. This is what is referred to as Torah Jobs. Basically, Torah, aka Kingman's operator, has come to town trying to learn more about net battling, and he needs money. So he's asking us to help him with these jobs in order to make money to, you know, support his travels and whatnot. So basically, he's making us do work for him so that he makes money. Doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. So we have to do these 4 jobs. Kind of introduces the concept of side quests in this game, even though they're not really side quests, they're forced in this particular case. So this first one is basically just a big fetch quest. We have to go talk to a guy, and then talk to another guy, and then go back to the original guy. That's literally all it is. But we're going to abuse this chance, and we're going to go spend all of our newly earned funds. We're buying the last HP memory from this shop, and 3 chips known as Invises, which are very strong. It gives us iframes for free, which we can use to basically just go through certain attacks and try and do our Var Sword inputs uninterrupted. This is very nice. And then we go to Yoka, which is where the guy we need to talk to is. We're going to buy out that shop with all of its HP memories as well. And all of this is actually just to line up our HP so that we can sneak run through the next dungeon comp, which is incredibly... it saves a lot of time. saves a lot of time being able to not get a single encounter. Even if you do have to run away from it, like those seconds add up a lot over time. So now we're gonna go talk to the Navi for the job. Now that we've bought out that shop, we also bought one other chip. There are two reasons that we buy this chip. It's called Shake 1R. The first reason is that it gives us the ability to buy Shake 1S from the chip order very shortly, which is needed for a trade later on that will get us another Varsor, which is very nice. So, that's the first reason for getting Shake 1R. The second reason is Shake can be used as part of a very interesting glitch that can delete things very quickly. It's very hard to set up all the time, so we won't be using it very often. We'll be using it exactly once throughout the run, but it's going to be very worthwhile. Alright, so that's the first job taken care of. Now on to the second job, which is, again, just another fetch quest. But this is the job that actually requires us to have Yo-Yo 1G. That's the reason we had to get it earlier, so. We're also going to use this as a good opportunity to do a little bit of sidetracking and spending some money over at Higsby's chip order. Now that we've acquired all of the chips that we want to be able to chip order, we're gonna go over to Higsby's. The way that chip order works is any chip that's in your library, he lets you buy back at least once in a particularly different, or in a different code. So we're gonna buy, this is Heat Shot D fire chip. Or actually, that's Bubbler D, excuse me. This is Heat Shot I, and that's Heat Shot, or Heat VJ. Oh, I did not want to back out yet. We want this. This is Ice Ball M again. This is an Aqua Sword. This is Fire Sword. This is Var Sword. This will be going in the folder. This is Burner Q, a fire chip. This is Shake 1S, which we were just talking about. This is a fire chip called Red Wave J that we just bought from his regular order. This is Wood plus 30. It's used as part of the Shake glitch that I was just talking about. This is another chip we just bought from Higsby's regular order, and this is as well. It's a fire and an aqua chip. And this is Bubble Man B, an aqua chip. So basically we bought a Var Sword, we bought a Shake 1S to get a Var Sword, and we bought a bunch of fire and aqua chips because the next two scenarios require you to sacrifice fire and then aqua chips, which is very annoying, but we need a lot of them. So we use that money to buy as many fire and aqua chips as we can possibly acquire. Some of them we only acquire because we had an extra folder that gives it, adds the chip to our library so we can chip order even one copy of it, so. And now we move on to this job. Basically, someone at our school lost some data, so we have to go try and find it. On our way, we're going through Scilab Square. We might as well buy out the last HP memory there. And then we have to go find the prog that was supposed to have the data that our good teacher friend lost. And he tells us that he dropped it in ACDC 2 or something like that. So we now have to jack out, jack back in. The eyes happens to be connected directly to ACDC 2, so it's a perfect place to go for both of these trips. And here, this guy basically bribes us. He says, if you give me a Yo-Yo 1G, I will give you back the data that I just found, so we can give it to him and go about our day. Hence why we needed Yo-Yo 1G earlier. And now we can return the data to its rightful owner and move on to the next job, which starts to get a bit more interesting.
We also just got a $30 donation from Curdle Games. He says, "We play Mega Man real fast around these parts." Thank you so much. We are actually getting close to the $600 mark. So we appreciate each and every single one of you guys. Thank you so much. Exclamation donate in the chat if you would like to donate.
Thank you very much, Colonel. I assume with that, I owe another joke, is that correct? I heard yes, so, alright. Perfect. Alright, so next up, this is a classic humor joke from Battle Network 3. Oh, did you hear about Yai's online origami store? No, what happened? It folded. One more like that, and I'm pulling out your batteries, says Lan. Again, thank you for the donation, Colonel. Super appreciate it. So, I'm gonna read an email, which sets up a shortcut from here to Beach Square. We go here because we need to go to Beach Area 2. Beach Area 1, excuse me. But we go this way because it gets us through the square, where we buy all the HP memories and a VAR sword. So now we have acquired 3 VAR swords and some other chips that we want to throw in our folder. So let's do a quick folder edit. Alright, 1, 2, 3, and... Yep, that's good. So we start by attack, we reg, air shot, which will be very important in a couple fights later on. We're getting very close to the HP threshold we need. The HP amount we're looking for is actually 560. So we still need... We bought out all of the shops that we can thus far, and we're still 60 HP short, but we still have a few places to explore. So this is a 5-fight gauntlet that we have to do. Very nice. So now, as you can see, we're just trying to draw VAR Sword and abuse it to its utmost. This particular fight, though, Hero Sword is very good on. We can quickly deal with those two. Buster Guard is still putting in work right now. This fight has a very nice backup. Unfortunately, I drew something, so... You can actually step backwards to bait them into the lava panels, and then step forwards to bait them into the other lava panels, which do 50 damage each, and just delete them. And that's the gauntlet. But he gave us an HP memory. So, very nice. That is the 3rd job done. We have 1 more to do, and we're still 2 HP memories short for the next dungeon comp. Alright. So, coming up is 3 more fights that we have to do. These fights are very annoying. I haven't really talked about version differences all too much. As you might be aware, there are 2 versions of this game. I'm playing EXE3 Black, which, if you've played the US versions, is equivalent to the Battle Network 3 Blue version. And there's EXE3, which translates to the Battle Network White version, aka Vanilla. So these forced fights are different per version. So in the blue version, we have to deal with these moles, and these moles are really annoying. They cannot be hit while they are underground. You have to bait them out with an attack or wait long enough for them to attack. So that is why we have Airshot and Reg, is so that we can always draw something to bait them out. If you don't draw a Varsword, it takes a long time to deal with the fight. So typically what you want to do is you want to Airshot, bait them out, dodge around them to get to the back row, because they always pop up behind you, and then you want to use Tri-Slash. So just like that, except you are an... Unfortunately, it didn't work out perfectly that time, but it's better to have to deal with enemies that you can always hit with any chip than it is to deal with the moles. So getting them out of the way first is the most important thing. And now we're also going slightly out of our way to grab one more HP memory. 540, we are still 20 short, aka one more HP memory that we just need to find somewhere lying around before we get to the next Untitled Gauntlet. And now for the final fight for this job. One more, as they call it, sneaky purple dolphin. That is an unfortunate draw. Alright. We're gonna bait him out again, and that's that. Perfect. That is it for this job, and with that we can go back and talk to Torah. Be done with these jobs. And now we can move on with the rest of the scenario. During the last part where we visited the hospital, we actually made a new friend. His name is Mamaroo. He's a kid with a pretty bad heart condition. And we're actually going to go visit him very soon. It's actually sort of the main plot point behind this scenario is trying to help Mamaroo out. But first we have to go to school. Because, you know, we're still a grade school student, still in like 5th or 6th grade. And as one does before the start of class, we need to talk to everyone. Literally, everyone in the classroom. And now we have more ominous, no music. Oh, it's terrifying. I hate it. So basically we've learned that our friend Dex is actually moving out and will no longer be living in ACDC and therefore no longer going to school with us. That's why it was so sad. Anyway, moving on. Time to go visit our friend Mamaroo. Coming up is the reason that we needed the ice ball chip earlier. Mamaroo unfortunately has been in a hospital most of his life and really likes net battling but doesn't get to do it all too much. Don't worry, he's having a heart attack right now. We're gonna go get a doctor right now. I do? I was told I can not on stage. The staff. You can ask the people behind backstage, but anyway, the reason that we needed the ice ball is because Mamaroo really wanted the rare chip Ice Ball M and was going through a basically he was getting discouraged and did not want to go through with a experimental surgery that might help his heart condition, but he's been like doing this his whole life and was, you know, just getting a little discouraged. But we give him the Ice Ball M to cheer him up and encourage him to go through with the surgery, because this one has a very good chance of helping him out. So now is the day of his surgery. We're gonna go spend time with him, you know, comfort him and whatnot, because nothing can ever go wrong in the Battle Network universe when Lan is around. Actually, you don't need any Metro Pass at this point, so. So. It is time. He goes into surgery. And now we acquire the final HP memory we needed. We are now at 560 and prepared for the next dungeon comp. And it's right here. So, in hospital comps, we see the first instance of needing something called Elem Change. Elem Change is a MAGFAST program that we'll be getting from this prog over here that lets us use a battle chip and convert it into energy. Which lets us, you know, use a fire chip and turn it into fire energy, which lets us burn down these trees and vines and whatnot. So this is why we needed the all the fire chips so far. Now, because this is our first MAGFAST edit, we can do this mod tools code SK13E01M. This gives us a MAGFAST program known as Reflect, which when we press B and left, will allow us to reflect attacks back and deal 100 damage at to enemies. So can be very strong when used properly. It's a very good backup strat for when you don't draw something. So now we have put energy change in, and we're gonna burn through these trees in order to fix whatever problem is going on. The downside of Reflect is we actually get one less custom chip to work with. So I actually have to bait this forward. There we go. There we go. And now we go to try to go to the basement, which is where the main computer controlling the hospital is. Have to get a key first from a nurse in order to fix the situation. And on to Hospital Comp 2, just more of the same. So far we've only been burning these trees, but now is the first instance of having to burn vines. There are different sets of vines that sometimes you will burn and you'll get rewards from them, like more fire chips. Sometimes you'll find a virus behind it, sometimes you'll find nothing behind it. And sometimes you'll have the button that you need to press, which you can actually kind of see behind the vine if you look closely enough, in order to open the door and move on in the area. So, this guy's annoying. He puts a shield up in front of him, and he can't take damage with the shield up. But we can actually bolt off of it, funnily enough. And then we're going to invis and step cross. Because his mask is an obstacle, so it does cause bolt to work. And now we've fixed the vine situation, but the operating room where our friend Mamaroo is in is still not fully working, so we have to go in and save him so that, you know, his operation can continue. Picked up one extra fire chip just there. So, the reason that we bought so many extra fire chips is because it's actually faster to do that than it is to burn a lot of these extra vines, just to get like 2 extra fire chips. It basically boils down to like you're burning the vine, spending 1, getting 2 back, so you're only getting 1 chip out of it. That said, burning a vine to get 2 chips back, or 3 like this, is actually worthwhile, so. Here we go, 1 more vine that gives us 3 chips back. This one has a warp behind it that will take us to the next area we need to go to. Basically, it opens the next path for us. We're gonna grab something for safety. This is a full energy, which when we use it will allow us to recover our health to full. We can only use it outside of battle though, so it's going to be a safety precaution during some consecutive fights later on in the run. So, we have to press a sequence of 3 buttons. And we have 3 fire chips left, 1 for this vine. One for this tree, blocking our path to the final vine that we need to burn. And there we go. We've used all of our fire chips. And we have opened the path to the next boss, Plant Man. Plant Man has an elemental weakness of fire, since he's wood element. So, this means that our Var Sword, we draw it, will actually deal 800 damage because it's 160 times 5. This is also Reflect being used to its utmost. Sometimes he just ends up killing himself. We're actually gonna bolt because we didn't draw anything, so. Not the best draw for that fight, but we made it work. So, with that, we move on to the next scenario. We've made use of all the fire chips we needed. Next is going to be a scenario that uses all of the aqua chips that we need. So, first, because we saved the day at the hospital, we're going to go get a medal for our bravery. First, we're going to talk to our good friend Beardman, who showed up yet again. And now, we actually have opened the trade for the Var Sword that I was talking about earlier. We talk to this guy, we give him a Shake 1S. gives us a Varsword B in return, and now we can go about our merry way. We now have 4 Varswords, which is actually the maximum we can have in our folder. So we have acquired basically all the Varswords that we will see for the rest of the run. We're going to do a quick folder edit to remove it. We want it in the top 4 slots, or 5, excuse me, because we, as we mentioned earlier, chips that are near the top of your folder are more likely to be drawn due to a folder shuffling quirk. And now we actually have a bunch of fights back to back, a lot of running through the internet to get to those fights, but pretty much all the fights boil down to just draw Varsword. That's what a lot of fights now are kind of boiling down to, so. So we're actually going to air shot him back to the back row, because that way he can't hit us. Then we can just Tri-Slash to deal with the rest of the fight once the Hardhead opens its mouth and is vulnerable. Making our way over to the second fight of the Yoka area. There we go. If I mess up the inputs for Reflect, it tries to fire a Buster Shot, which will still be Buster Guard, because I haven't taken that out of my MAGFest yet. So it's a nice little backup option in case I mess up the inputs. So now we have to move on to Beach area for the next few fights. Probably going to grab the final power-up that we need. Haven't really talked about Regups too much just yet. We've only really grabbed one of them. We got one of them on accident. Not really on accident. It was given to us via a job that we were forced to do. Regups allow you to reg chips of higher memory. Each chip has a memory associated with it based on how powerful the devs thought the chip was. So, by grabbing this Regup 3, we got a Regup 3 earlier via the job. We got a Regup 1 during the Desert Man scenario. That's 7 plus the 4 that we start with means we now have a Regmem of 11, which allows us to reg Invis. We're not going to do that just yet, but that is the purpose behind grabbing all of those Regups. Alright. That is why we like multiple Varswords. If we mess up one, we just use the other. We have 2 more fights in this area. Perfect. And one more is over here. Beautiful. Now, we have to move on to Scilab. It's actually faster because we're already at Scilab to jack out and back in. That is where the next forced fight will be. We've been doing all of this on the warning of one Mr. Match. He's a character that we've met in Battle Network 1. He was a villain in that game. You are not familiar with the series. He basically set our house on fire, or our oven on fire specifically. So he's back now supposedly a changed man, and he's been telling us where all of these World 3 navies are so that we can deal with them. So he's kind of showing us that maybe he is a good guy after all. See if I can do this input. Crazy. Can't believe I hit gut straight. That input, for the record, is BB, down, left, right, B, in sequence. Now, we get an email from someone telling us to meet them at ACDC Square. So, once we get there, basically what he's going to tell us is something we probably should already be able to know, but he basically just says, don't trust Mr. Match. That's basically what it boils down to. But now we can go visit our friend Mamaroo, make sure he's recovering well from his surgery. Then we'll be going back to Scilab to help out Mr. Match a little bit more. So, Mamaroo is here, he's recovering well, feeling pretty good. He says he's going to be let out of the hospital soon. Gives us a little gift, which is actually a security code that's in it's a code to a cube that is in Beach Area 1. Beach Area 1. It's actually really important for the run if they're out there using. Speaking of which, just reminded me actually that I need to go and buy something that I completely forgot about. Right here. We need an extra unlocker for later on in the run, so that's what we just bought. Alright. So, Mr. Match is telling us to install these programs in progs around Scilab. It's designed to help them relax and therefore, you know, operate better, actually. So, we're gonna go talk to this prog, help him install the program, let him know that we're done, move on to the vending machine next, because apparently it's really important that this vending machine prog has relaxing data in it. And there we go. And now one last install. Oh, I shouldn't have left. And here we go. Okay, so that's it. We're done. We've helped Mr. Match. We can now go about our merry day. Just go home and enjoy the rest of the day off, basically. Definitely won't need to go back to Scilab for anything. Turns out, we shouldn't have trusted Mr. Match, and the data that we installed helped him to light Scilab on fire. So now, the whole internet is on fire. Kind of like a network transmission, you know, the run just before this one. Except it won't look nearly as cool, all things considered. So, we get a call from Mr. Match who tells us, in order to save your dad, you're going to need to go put out the fires on the internet, all across the internet. So we have to go home, back into the net, And now we have to use that energy change with aqua chips in order to put out the fires. This is why we needed all of those aqua chips. So each area of the internet has 3 fires in it. So ACDC 1, ACDC 2, ACDC 3 all have 3 fires each. AKA there are 9 fires in ACDC total. So we need to put out each of these fires in every internet area, which will require us to go through ACDC. We're then going to go through Yoka, happens to be the next most convenient one afterwards, because we're kind of close to the metro station. After Yoka, we're then going to focus on Scilab, and then lastly Beach, because after Beach area, we need to go into a new area that is attached to Beach. So that is the general route here that we'll be following. We're also going to go and buy the last few aqua chips that we need. We could have bought these earlier if we got enough random Zenny, but normally you don't, so it just works out that you can just buy them now. And that's all the aqua chips we're going to need for this run. So that is all of the Zenny we need spent. And we still have 75,000 left over because Gamble Manip gives you way too much money. Since there's not much else to talk about much during this part, probably a good time to, again, remind you guys, we're doing all of this for Child's Play charity. Please consider, helping us out and donating. Again, if you spend $5, you can have me read out one of the BN3 humor jokes to help us pass the time here as we casually saunter through the internet, putting out these fires like a good Samaritan. So, again, feel free if you have the means. Appreciate all of the support.
Well, get those jokes ready because we do got to know a donation.
Lovely.
We got an anonymous donation for $27.08, which actually brings our total to $600
Very nice.
for our first day. So thank you guys so very much.
Very nice. Thank you for the donation, and yes, I will read one more joke. Running a little low on this list. We're on to number 10. Here we go. What did the man selling blind deer tell his customer? I have no idea. Oh, you've heard that one. Heard what one? Thank you. So just like the vines, there is a chance, or not a chance, all of the fires have set like rewards to them, if you want to call it that. Some of them will have nothing. Some of them will have extra aqua chips behind them, which we've routed in, and some of them will have viruses instead. Some of them will actually have Zenny later on. It's like 100 to 400 Zenny. It's actually a random roll on the Zenny, so... but it's way too late for that 100 to 400 Zenny to matter in any capacity, so... So the reason that we go to Yoka second is because we have to make a long trek through Yoka to get to the end of the area, basically where we fought Bubble Man. So that requires going across a lot of windy press paths. It's going to take us a long time to get through. So we want to do that one time, and then we can jack out and back in order to move on to the next area. So it just works out when you go to the metro station that Yoka second works out really nicely, because you can jack out, back in, then we can go to Scilab and continue on with our firefighting journey. I'll have to double check when I get there to make sure. The number of aqua chips you get is 100% consistent throughout the run. As long as I didn't forget to buy anything from Higsby's chip order. Yeah, that looks right. Everything there looks right. So we're all good. We check out. We're actually going to use a different area to log into the internet. So, Yai's is the easiest way to get to Scilab since Yai's HP has the shortcut to Scilab Square. So it's just the most efficient path. We don't have direct access to Scilab at this point, unfortunately, because it's currently on fire. We also don't have access to Dex's because he's moved out, and we no longer have access to his house. So Yai's ends up being pretty much the only one we can use with a good path to Scilab. So we've done 2 fires here in Scilab so far, which means we have 4 more, and right after this 3 more. And then we have Beach Area, which has 2 areas to it, each with 3 fires. So we have exactly 9 fires left. Alright, 1 more fire in Scilab. Also nice, we got the 400 roll. The most Zenny we can get from a fire. Very important when we have 75,000 Zenny laying in the bank. Doing nothing. So, we have 3 aqua chips left going into the final area, and we have 6 fires. Luckily, there's exactly 1 fire in Beach Area that will give us 3 aqua chips. So, just works out to be just enough. So, we're first going to start with Beach Area 1, which is actually over here. Because we need to come back to Beach Area 2 later. Oh no, we're running low. Where's that fire? With the 3 aqua chips. Hopefully I routed this, right? One left, oh no, and right here gives us 3 Bubside Fs. So those are the last remaining ones we need. This is the code that Mamaroo, gave us earlier. This is the reason that we needed an unlocker. It's because it gives us Spin Pink. Spin Pink lets us spin pink Navi customizer programs, such as Fast Gauge, which we got from Lotto Codes earlier. Now, we haven't been able to make use of Fast Gauge yet, but now that we have Spin Pink, we can actually throw it in. And we will be doing that during the next valuable NaviCust edit, before the next forced fights, or sequence of multiple forced fights. There's one coming up that's not a huge deal, we're not super worried about, and then there's a boss that, again, we're not super worried about either. So, 3 more fires, all in this area. We do have to take this long, windy path to get towards Beach Square, unfortunately, because one of the fires is up there. And finally, the final fire of the Flam Man scenario. Yes, I call him Flam Man because that's how it's spelled in this game. And it's a virus. So we've put out all the fires, and Mr. Match tells us, alright, well, in order to save your father and everyone else in Scilab, you're going to need to come to the Undernet, this totally spooky place here, and fight his Navi Flam Man in order to put out the fire for good. So, that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, there is a nice convenient path in Undernet 3 to the area we need to go to. However, there's a Navi keeping an eye on us for some reason as we go through this area, and he just kind of decides that he's gonna, I don't know, blow up this path, make it impassable. Can't really see it. Oh, there you go. You can see it a little bit up there. So we have to double back. We have to fight our way through this guy to make our way into the rest of Undernet 3, so we can go around. Ooh. This is unfortunate. I do not have the ability to deal with this guy right now. Alright, we now have the ability to deal with him, because I messed up the try/slash inputs of all things. But, there we go. Now, we can go fight Flam Man up here. So Flam Man's an interesting fight. He has these candles behind him that make him invincible. You can just put him out by dealing, it's like 10-20 damage to them. Ooh, that is unfortunate. Oh, he locked it. Come on. There we go. Anyway, that is Flam Man. When the fires are glowing green, he's invincible, so you have to put them out with damage. This is actually a completely unwinnable fight. You actually just have to die. It is impossible, I think even with cheats, to lower this base's HP to 0. It's just physically impossible. You are expected to lose that fight. So, we just stand in the front row and let him beat us to death. And now we have to go rescue our dad from Scilab that is no longer on fire. Even though there's people now just working here. Like, no, they're just hanging out, like nothing's wrong. And now our dad is fine, just recovering in the hospital, but Lan feels super guilty about being essentially the cause behind this by helping Mr. Match, so he gets a little depressed. Happens to us all. So, we're just gonna go home and go to sleep for now. Alright. So the next part of the game is one of the most interesting story elements, I would say. It's a kind of neat aspect of Battle.Network 3, and has a lot of really good fights as well. One of a lot of people's favorite parts about the games, outside of just the post-game. So our friend Chad, Proto-Man's operator, has a mission for us. But because we're depressed, he tells us to go see our dad and, you know, make sure that everything's going all right, and get back to him later once we're feeling better. So, we go to see our dad. He's talking to someone known as Sean, excuse me. He is a villain from Battle Network 2. Land sees him and is just like, wow, he was a bad guy, but he's doing all he can now to be better for the world, so I can't be sitting over here, you know, all depressed and whatnot. I just need to move forward, so helps us get over it, and it's time to go help Chad out his mission, which is to infiltrate the ranks of the Undernet. Proto Man can't do it, he's apparently too recognizable of a Navi, so instead we're going to send the guy who's literally saved the world twice. You know, no big deal. So the main concept is we're trying to get a program that only the rank 1 Undernet Navi has. So we need to infiltrate the ranks in order to find out more about this program. But in order to get access to the Undernet, we need to equip a program called Black Mind. Basically, it's just a program that, like, you know, darkens our mind or whatever. It makes us look more evil, so that it makes us look like we fit in with the Undernet crowd. So that way we can actually infiltrate the ranks. We only need it equipped to talk to one particular NPC. We don't need it equipped for the rest of the run or anything. It's kind of a useless MAGFest program, but you know, this is the first game. They were testing out the mechanic and seeing what worked, so. So, we go back into the Undernet, make our way back to Undernet 3, but this time we're going to Undernet Square, the final internet square we haven't yet visited. Alright, we're getting close to the really fun parts of this particular split. It's actually going to be like a sequence of 10 fights, all of which can be potentially dangerous. So, here we are at Undernet Square. This is the reason that we need Black Mind. If we don't have it equipped, we cannot pass that Navi, so... And so now we have started the process of becoming a ranked Navi. In order to do so, we need to go through this prelim. First, we're going to do a folder edit to Reg Invis. We're also going to do a MAGFest edit. I'm going to move that, put that over there. And then, let's see if we can... Oh my god, this is really hard to do. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, good. Got it. So, that is the final MAGFest. We're going to put in the reflect code one more time. EO1M. And now we have finished our MAGFest for the rest of the run. And now we have a gauntlet of 4 fights, because these guys are ganging up on us. Invis is on Reg for safety purposes. It lets us use Var's sword without getting hit out of our attacks or anything like that, so unfortunate draw here. We're actually just gonna add it. That's a lot of Var swords. That's good enough. Alright, one more fight in this gauntlet. Alright, very clean. I realistically should have saved before that, just to be safe. I'll save before the next fight. Since it has been a while since our last save, don't want to be, you know, killing the run this late. So now it's not, that one is the 4-fight gauntlet. Now it's just a sequence of like individual fights, which aren't nearly as bad. Some of them can be really bad though. So that one in particular is pretty straightforward, especially if you draw Invis or Varsword, excuse me. Nice, very nice. This one can be annoying depending on how it goes. But Invis makes it perfectly safe. Alright, 2 more fights. This one in particular is very scary, and then the next one after is also particularly scary, so you save. This one's scary because of the Dominated enemy, which you can only deal damage to with breaking or when he's attacking you. So, luckily, that one worked out really nicely. If you take too long, he will crack all of your panels, which kind of makes the fight a bit more of a time limit, so... Messed up the inputs. Oh well. Reflect as a backup. And there we go. So now, we have been told the location of the rank 10 Navi. So in order to become part of the 100net ranked Navis, you have to take a Navi's rank away from it. So in order to do that, you have to challenge it to a fight, or some type of challenge in general. So we're gonna go say hi to the rank 10 Navi and begin our journey towards the top. So, when you boil this split down, it's a lot of really fun, cool fights, but it is also just a lot of backtracking as well, so it does get maybe a little bit boring, especially like when the fights are just like this. That fight is not very difficult at all, but we are now rank 10, as shown by the little graphic in the top right. So, next up, we are supposed to be told the location of rank 9, but instead we're actually going to go help our friend who's supposedly in danger. It's a little bit of a strange email we just got, but apparently they're in danger in Zucom, so we have to go help them out real quick first. So, turns out, a little bit of a spoiler, but turns out it was actually just a bait, and the 4 navies that tried to ambush us at the start of the ranking prelims are just trying to gang up on you once again. So it's just another 4-fight gauntlet here. Alright, the first 3 fights are pretty simple, nothing too crazy going on, especially when you draw Varsword. The 4th fight is where it starts to get a little bit more dangerous. This fanfare in the back area locks itself. So, luckily the fight worked out perfectly with the Varswords. If you're too slow though, you can actually get the fanfare to start making the other viruses invincible, who then block the fanfare from getting hit from Varsword, so it becomes a bit of a rough fight. But now it's time to go get rank 9. So, we did require that that passcode that Mamaroo gave us for fast gauge. Not really a requirement, but it is beneficial. I never really talked about fast gauge. Fast gauge just makes the speed at which the custom gauge fill up faster, so that you can see more chips more often if you get a bad draw. We also needed it to be able to get to this warp so that we can talk to this guy who just gives us rank 9 because he's trying to get out of the internet rankings. It's not for him anymore, I guess. So, now we have to go find rank 8, who happens to be where we fought Flam Man. So we have to go all the way back to the Undernet.
We just got a nice $10 donation from Professor 9. Risch played the game so fast it exploded, but what this run really needs is more Gia? SJH1EKA?
Okay, yep. SJH1UEKA is the code, the mod tools code to get the humor program. So basically, needs more humor, and I am willing to oblige. Alright, the next one. Alright. Mega Man, I think you really need to work on your jokes. Apparently, a lot of people agree with you. I sent 10 of my puns into an online contest. Really? How many of them won a prize? No pun intended. Thank you, Prof 9. With that, I have now read 11 out of the 16 jokes in this game. There are 5 left. You guys can keep donating and get me to read these final 5. Alright, so here we are, at rank 8. I'm gonna save. It's not like super scary, but I do want to be a bit more safe at this point in the run. Turns out that it's just Beast Man again. World 3 is also infiltrating the internet ranks, so you're gonna add because we want to see bar swords. Still haven't found bar swords. Then do it again. Oh, I messed that up. They all ended up at the bottom of my folder. Ah. Nice. We take those. Alright, so now there's a fight coming up after this that can also be a little scary, especially when you don't draw anything. Alright. But not too bad. So, we now have acquired rank 8. That second fight was being ambushed by rank 10, who was upset with us. So, you know, we just dealt with him again. And now we are on our way to rank 7. This one is a bit interesting. So we've had to do a fight for both rank 10 and 8, and for rank 9, we just were given it. Rank 7 is going to be a bit more of a puzzle, or more of a riddle, I suppose. It's kind of infamous, I guess, among people who have played this game on the US version, because the riddle does not make a whole lot of sense. Basically, the riddle is you're supposed to go and find something that is one of many birds, which makes no sense. You think bird, and you're like, oh, maybe I have to go to the zoo or something. You know, that's in this game, or there's a few other things that you can maybe think of that apply to one of many birds. But what it's actually referring to is a Japanese tradition of building or creating origami cranes. You make 100 origami cranes, and a wish will come true. Usually done for sick people to help them get better. So basically, the hint is telling you to go to the hospital, where you will find an origami crane, essentially, which is kind of just on the wall over in Mamaroo's room. So, that is what we needed to get. We bring it back to the rank 7 Navi, and he will gladly give up his rank 7 title to us. So we're making slow but sure progress through these ranks, you know. So, like, maybe 10 minutes ago, we were just getting rank 10 or so. We're really about to start speeding up the ranks real quick. Large part in due to a bit of a glitch that is related to the particular version of the game that I'm playing. Can start talking about that. So basically, coming up next, after we get rank 7, we get an email from Chad that just says, check the ACDC BBS, there's a message for you, and it's from the rank 3 Navi. He tells us to come to Undernet 4. And normally what this would involve is going to Undernet 4, finding out there's another ambush, and then we have to fight Copyman, who is the rank 3 Navi, who ends up just copying himself into Gutsman. So it's just another fight with the strongest version of Gutsman so far. But after that, you would then have to go and fight the rank 2 Navi. Now, in the Japanese version, specifically on version 1.0 of the games, there is maybe not a glitch, it's an oversight in the way that the flags work. Basically, once you read this BBS message coming up, first I have to read the email. Oh, I'm going the wrong way too. Once you read this BBS message, basically it will set the flag that allows the rank 2 Navi to spawn, meaning that because we're playing this particular version, we can actually just skip over Copyman and go directly to the rank 2 Navi and fight him and get rank 2 from that. So. So, that is what we're going to do. We have read the BBS message. We can now perform Copyman Skip, and by that I mean just go and fight Rank 2. Now, Rank 2 is version specific. So, in the white version, you would be fighting a Navi called Mistman, but because we're playing effectively the blue version, or the black version, we'll be fighting a Navi called Bowlman. I'm going to save my game before jacking into the comp with Bowlman in it. There is a interesting glitch. Because you're not supposed to be there, when you press the L button, normally the game like gives you a hint as to where to go, but because you're not supposed to be there yet, and the Navi's already spawned, it doesn't have text to give you, so the game just soft locks if you press the L button in this comp. So you gotta be a little careful with that. Nice. Very good draw, perfect fight. So, that is Bowlman. We have now acquired Rank 2, which gives us permission to go and talk to the Rank 1 Navi, which is it's been our goal this whole time. We want to talk to the Rank 1 Navi so we can get access to a program called GigaFreeze, so that we can freeze a different program called Alpha, which is what the World 3 organization is after right now. So, it turns out that all along, there is a hidden server to the Undernet, which is built right under this spa in Yoka. So we just got a bunch of cutscenes, we learn a lot. We learn Mamaroo's father is the admin of the Undernet and all sorts of other stuff, and then turns out GigaFreeze didn't work because we used it on an enemy named Base who killed us earlier and doesn't affect him. And then World 3 steals Alpha, so now we have to go chase them down. Yeah. Whole lot of things just happen in those few cutscenes. But basically what it boils down to is we gotta go fight a Navi called Drillman, who can literally drill holes in the internet. So, to make our way through Scilab to where there's a hole drilled in the internet that takes us to Undernet, I believe 5, something like that, where we can then fight Drillman. So we're actually going to take a quick detour into that area to reset our step counter, because that's what it does when the area transitions like that. That lets us get one fewer encounter on our trip to Drillman. Then we just get this one encounter, and then we can make it to Drillman no problem. We're going to do a bit of a quick folder edit to Reg Airshot. There we go. We're going to save because there's a strat we do for this fight that involves using Airshot to stagger him. And then Varsword to finish him off for a very nice quick kill. So that is Drillman, and now we enter the final scenario of the game. Yes, we're getting very close-ish to the end. We just have the final comps left. But first, we have a little bit of overworld things to do. Basically, because World 3 has access to Alpha, the world's government is, you know, getting armed with tanks and putting them all over, just getting ready for war, essentially, is what it is. So, because we are needed elsewhere, we can't currently use the metro. It's been shut down by the government. So we actually need to go to Scilab right now, but instead, what we gotta do first is we have to go get special permission, which involves getting a pass from Proto Man over here. Reading that email is the flag, or gives us the flag to spawn Proto Man. So, so here we go. Now I have permission to enter the metro and go to Scilab, where there's a meeting about everything that's going on in the world. And then we find out that having tanks all over the world is a bad idea. What Alpha is it's basically the prototype of the internet. In the Japanese version, it's literally called Proto, for prototype. So, because of that, it actually has the ability to infiltrate devices connected to the internet, such as these tanks. So, Alpha has infiltrated the tanks and is now causing them to fire on civilians. Lan uses his lightning-fast reflexes to dodge bullets during a cutscene, by the way. We skipped over it, we don't have time. But anyway, speaking of lightning-fast reflexes, it's time to walk through a tank. Totally do it. I'm not used to it on this controller, but I'm gonna do it. I don't care. There we go. Anyway. Normally that would be slightly faster to do if you're really good at it. I am not as comfortable with it on this controller, so it's a bit more difficult, but it is what it is. I have to do it. Morally obligated. So now we're gonna go visit our dad, who is still in the hospital. Turns out that he is left on his own. He left us a letter explaining what he's doing. So we have to go back to Scilab to see what he's up to. Then we have to come back to beach. But basically, what we find out is that our dad has come back to Scilab because he needed to help track down the location of World 3's base. Gives it to us, because why not send your son to stop a terrorist organization? So we need to find a boat to be able to go find this island. So where might we find a boat? Well, we've ridden one a few times so far. Unfortunately, supposedly its engine is not strong enough, so we're gonna have to go get a new engine. And this is why you always take care of your rich friends. Because we just so happen to have a friend named Yai, who is a rich father and is spoiled rotten and gets whatever she wants. So we just go ask her to get us a new engine shipped overnight. And we don't tell her why, we just need an engine for a boat. Alright, so with that, we now have to wait one day so we can go to sleep and enter the final day of the run. And then we're gonna get into some really cool movement, fun. It's like one of the best parts of the run, in my opinion, is the World 3 comp movement. So it's gonna be great trying to do it while exhausted, but we'll see what happens. Final metro pass we need to use. We are on our way to the final area. So our friend Beardman shows up, tells us that he's Base's creator. Base is working with World 3. He gets electrocuted, and yeah, rip Beardman. Unfortunate, it happens. Alright, so these are World 3 comps. They have these claws that if you get too close to them will capture you, so you need to do proper movement to get around them. There is also a neat gimmick that you can do. When you press the A button, the game checks if you're interacting with anything, and as a result will cause the claws to slow down in order to check that, because if you are interacting with something, the claws would actually stop. So, because of that, we can actually press the A button to slow the claws down in order to make certain cycles. Now, so far I haven't had to do that in this comp, but we'll be doing it here in a second. We're going to actually mash A after this point in order to try and slow the claws down just a little bit to get some slightly better movement there. It's nothing major for this first comp. So, with that, we can go on to the first boss, which is going to be Flashman. Yes, this is the boss rush time. AKA, how often can we draw and hit a bar sword? So, that is the first World 3 comp. Nothing too crazy in that one. The second one is where it starts to get really, really cool. I'm actually going to save before going in, because I really want to show off the optimal movement, hopefully. Do a quick wiggle, a couple bit of buffered movement, cut that corner properly, that gets us around those claws, and I messed it up. Let me just do this one time. The cycle gets really weird if you get caught and have to redo it from the beginning, so that's why I saved. Go, and then there we go. Just cut that corner around that claw. We actually pressed A 8 times to slow down the claws. This is to line up the cycle, hopefully after this boss fight. Good draw, hopefully. So we need the bubbles to get on our side. Bar Sword isn't fast enough, so we need to get the bubbles over here so we can get them out of the way, and I messed up. Unfortunate. So we still need invis in order to be able to get through the bubbles. Nice. There we go. That's Bubble Man deleted permanently. We're gonna press A a couple more times here so that we can sneak right past that guy right there. Cool. Alright, and then now we just need to mash A to hope and pray to get past this final set of claws in a reasonable fashion. I'm not gonna go for the crazy cycle. You can do it. You can go around that claw, but that is very difficult to do, so. Oh. Ooh, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Unfortunate. Okay, as long as I hit this visor, it should be fine. And I missed. There we go. Alright. That is Desert Man done, and that is World 3 Comp 2 done. This comp also has some really sick movement. I'm gonna save if I want to show it off. This one's a bit easier in my opinion than the last comp, but it can still be a little tricky. Ooh, I haven't managed to go too fast. Crazy. I cut those corners too perfectly that I ended up getting caught. You need to be slightly suboptimal with your movement in order to be able to hit this one properly. There we go. So that was enough waiting. I can probably do optimal movement and still make it on the best cycle. Normally you have to waste a couple more frames still. Yep, perfect. Everything just lines up beautifully. You get caught here intentionally. This resets their cycles and lines things up very nicely for this next trick. Where you just mash A enough times that you just walk straight up through the claws. It's crazy. Alright, so this is actually a 2-fight boss gauntlet to fight Plant Man into Plant Man. Doing 200 damage gets Plant Man down to 800, which is just enough health for Varsword to delete with the elemental weakness. We're actually going to take this because we need to put out the candles anyway. Nice, very good fight. That is comp 3 done. We have one more comp to do, and then after that comp we can work on the final boss. This comp should be pretty easy, but I have messed it up before. So far it's looking really good. Slight hesitation because I kind of messed up my movement. Makes it work out much better, but hopefully these line up nicely for me. I did not get the perfect cycle, but good enough. Save again, because again we want to go for this Drill Man quick kill. Drill Man is really annoying to deal with if you don't get the quick kill, so... Perfect. Alright, so now, before I move anywhere, it's time to do a final folder edit. Beautiful. We are going to do one final RNG manipulation because it's going to make use of a very cool glitch. Alright, so this manipulation lines up this fight perfectly to draw a double Varsword. The perfect draw for this fight. do have a third Var Sword as a backup if necessary on the next custom screen. Then we have to just buffer a cutscene skip into the next fight, which gives us a perfect draw of air shot, shake, and wood. Oh, why is that there? Hold on. That's odd. Oh, I know why. Shake. Did shake get added to the folder? It's not in the folder. It did not. Whoops. Let's try that again. Sorry. Let's try that again. So getting an encounter is a small chance on the way there, and it completely ruins the manip entirely. So, it's a small chance. If you if you get unlucky, you just have to basically redo it. Alright, let's try this again, shall we? Alright, so, air shot, shake, wood plus 30. Double air shot to open up the core. Get hit out of the shake and just use wood plus 30 after, and Alpha dies. Because that's how this game works. Time is coming up very shortly after this final walk of victory, and then I will briefly explain the shake glitch. So, coming up very shortly, like 3, 2, time! Sorry. So, just to quickly explain what that was. The way that the shake glitch works is, normally the shake reads a value from memory as to what its damage value is. However, you can write a different value to that memory address by using a different chip, because the shake takes the value from basically your last used chip once it spawns the object. And luckily, if you get hit out of the shake animation, you're actually able to use another chip, such as wood plus 30, which happens to have like a 10,000 damage value, so we just hit Alpha for 10,000 damage. But yeah, that's basically the shake glitch, and that's why it's so useful on Alpha. It just makes the fight completely trivial. Anyway, that is Mega Man Battle Network 3. Thank you for hanging out, and for everyone backstage for helping out. Just a quick shout out to Team BN, all of the Battle Network runners. It's a great community. If you're at all interested in the Battle Network series, whether you're a casual fan or even potentially interested in speedrunning the games, recommend checking out Team BN. You can probably find a Discord link somewhere. I don't know if we have that available for chat purposes, but that is going to do it for today's stream of MAGFast, but we will be back again tomorrow at 8 a.m. as far as I'm aware. Tomorrow we'll be continuing more of the Mega Man block with runs such as Maverick Hunter 2, Mega Man X6, I think, and there's another one that I'm completely forgetting.
Yes, exactly. We have Kazooie Lou starting off tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with Maverick Hunter X, running into Mega Man X2, into Mega Man X6, which will finish off our Mega Man block tomorrow. Of course, we always have one last donation getting there. We just need a couple more. We needed more jokes from TJ09. $5 donation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, TJ. I will quickly read out one joke to wrap up the day, as is tradition. The final joke. You know what? I'm choosing one myself because I think that this would be a good one to end on. I read that flowers were preserved in King Tut's tomb. Really? What kind? Chrysanthemum mummies. Ha ha. Ha ha. Thank you. But yeah, that is going to do it for today's stream. Thank you all so much for watching, everyone for donating, all of your support. We super appreciate it here at MAGFAST. I don't know if the host has anything else to say before we tune out for the day.
Yes, we do. Like Risch was saying, we all here at MAGFest appreciate everything, especially with day one. We have raised $610 just in our first day. That's great for our first day, going to our $2,500 goal. Amazing first day turnout, and we'll be back again at 8 a.m. But make sure we accept donations. We accept donations all night, even while we're off stream. Just hit that exclamation point, donate in chat, bring you right up there, and you can just donate towards any more incentives we have going on. And again, thank you for everything today, and we will be back again at 8 a.m.